Hello everyone, and welcome to the showdown between the Tomb Kings, who are going to be led by SETTRA the Imperishable atop his mighty Sphinx, and the Beastmen, who are going to be led by Morgr the Shadowgave. So guys, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So as far as the build goes, we do have a very heavy kind of frontal force. So we have two groups of the Skeleton Horsemen Archers, which actually aren't bad against Beastmen. They're a pretty decent counter-skirmishing unit against like Centaurs, and yes, if Centaurs can catch them, which they usually do, I mean, just in like a bit of a vacuum, right? So if you have the one-on-one, Centaurs will catch them, but you're going to have some other supporting elements. So you're going to have these Skeleton Horsemen Archers, which do have 140 range against the 70 of the Centaurs with throwing axes. And of course, Centaurs have pretty much no armor, so you're going to get good value there. And if they are about to catch you, you then use the Nehekar Horsemen against the Beastmen, which are actually quite good. I mean, these guys have 33, 40, and 38 for their respective combat stats. So basically what you do is you just run around with the Skeleton Horsemen Archers, poke these Centaurs or try to at least counter them, and then use the Nehekar Horsemen to kind of protect against the countercharge from the Centaurs, which I found to be pretty effective. On top of that, we're going to be having a little bit of fun. I normally don't bring too many chariots against the Beastmen, but I figured it could be pretty good against like mass amounts of gore and things like that, you know, gore herds, and even against bestigors. They don't have like as much armor piercing as like a gore beast chariot or the, what is a razor gore chariot, I think, for the Beastmen? But nonetheless, they do have a really high model count, and against like infantry like gore herds here, and you can see that most of Falcon's army is actually going to be gore herds and the Blackhorn's Ravagers, so they actually have some pretty good homes here, but there are Minotaurs, so I need to be really careful not to get tangled up in those guys. Two chariots here in the middle, Nehekar Horsemen up here on the high ground, and for the main army, we have two groups of Ushabti Greatbows, which are going to be poking the Minotaurs and high-value targets, three groups of Tomb Guard with Halberds, because you know, Minotaurs, Centaurs, things like that are fairly common in competitive play. So I was like, hey, let's bring the Tomb Guards with Halberds and see how they do. In the back, we got two groups of spears, and that is pretty much it. Of course, SETTRA is going to be up on the Glorious Sphinx, and you know, the Beastmen usually don't have the best time with like big monsters. I mean, they can use Minotaurs and you know, Centaurs with throwing axes, but I'm hoping that with the Ushabti Greatbow Overwatch, he'll be in good shape. So for the army of Falcon, definitely a pretty badass army. He's got a front line of gore herds here. He does have Centaurs with throwing axes, pretty much a staple against the Tomb Kings in my opinion. Minotaurs with great weapons, and the Butchers of Kalkengard. So these guys are going to be, you know, if things go well for him, they're going to be the breadwinners. They're going to be able to drag down SETTRA, counterplay the chariots. And Big Daddy Gorbel is here as well, and it looks like Gorbel does have just that one ability, which I always forget what that one does. Slaughter's Call. So charge bonus 8%, 5 melee attack, and 8 leadership, and it affects allies in range, which is pretty cool if you're running dirty with a bunch of Minotaurs. He does also have a Brave Shaman with Shadows, and he does have Morgr the Shadowgave, which is always a solid choice. I mean, who doesn't want, you know, 2,000 gold worth of Chaos Spawn? It's pretty badass for sure. And in the back, he does have the Destroyers of Drakwold. So guys, let's get the show on the road. So right now, my chariots are going to be running in, trying to get a little bit of poking damage here on the Centaurs with throwing axes, and we actually do get some work. In the meantime, the Ushabti Greatbows are going to be scooting forward and starting to shoot the Minotaurs. SETTRA is going to be going in for a freebie right here, but I do see the great weapons coming in, so I'm like, oh, I got a Tokyo Drift out of here. Got to get away from these guys, definitely not fun. And I do get some pretty good Overwatch fire coming in with these Skeleton Horsemen Archers. In the meantime, the chariots going away from where the Minotaurs are going. So I'm like, I was kind of happy. I pulled most of his force over here, and now the chariots can just run amok. So I get a really nice charge into these Gores, and they actually lose a lot of models and take a ton of damage. And now we're going to be charging back into the Blackhorn's Ravagers. And the chariots are just kind of causing havoc up in the Beastmen lines. The Nehekar Horsemen are going to charge in as well. I was just trying to get whatever free damage I could on those guys. In the meantime, it's going well over here. The Centaurs, the throwing axes, do get caught within Usirian's Incantation of Vengeance to kind of do damage and slow them down. Skeleton Horsemen Archers are just cruising around the flank, but I do get a little bit caught up on some of these Gores actually. So a little bit of sloppy micro for myself, letting these Skeleton Horsemen Archers kind of get tangled here, but I will be pulling back and probably will only lose like 4 or 5 models tops. In the meantime, and this is kind of the big focal point of the strategy, you have so many angles of attack. Here I'm harassing, I'm fighting in the center, chariots are harassing, and you kind of scatter the whole army a little bit, and in doing so, it takes pressure off your back line. It allows your Ushabti Greatbows to generate a lot of value, and you can see here they are generating their value. They've actually done a ton of damage against these Minotaurs with great weapons, so quite happy about that. These guys are pretty much, I mean, man, they still have 11 of their 12 models, but they're almost dead in terms of HP. Over here, SETTRA is just going to be fighting amongst the infantry. He's very good, of course, against like low leadership infantry like Gores. Hopefully he's going to be able to get some terror routes and fend these guys off. But over here, you can see it's not going so well. My chariots are being dragged down a little bit. There was actually a Chaos Spawn summon that was used by Falcon to drag down my chariots, and it looks like he did kill 2 models there. And on the other one, he hasn't taken out any models, but he's done some pretty substantial HP damage. And of course, Beastmen, Chaos Spawn do have poison. So my Nehekar Horsemen are going to be jumping up and around the back, looking to get a rear charge on the Beastmen here, and a very nice pendulum coming down, which does actually roast my Tomb Guards with Halberds, which is going to butter them up pretty substantially for those Gore Herds. And my Archers, in the meantime, are just going to be shooting into the Butchers of Kalkengard, but SETTRA does get a little bit compromised here. He was fighting in the front against some of these infantry, but I do have a nice angle of escape, so I'm not going to take a ton of damage, but you know, every little piece counts. So I'm going to be pulling back the Ushabti Greatbows. One of them does get ping-ponged by Gorbel, so Gorbel taking out an age of anger about he himself being ping-ponged. Is now going to be attacking the Ushabti Greatbows, but SETTRA's going in, and SETTRA should be able to ping-pong the Gorbel right back. Oh my god, that never gets old. And the Ushabti Great Bows are going to be falling back. So now the frontline battle's finally underway, and had I not harassed him at all in the frontline battle, like I would have just been run over. But we got some pretty good damage. Centaurs are offline. He used a Chaos Spawn summon. His Minotaurs are very beat up. I did lose my Chariots for the most part. This one's pretty much offline here, and this one is trying to get away, but the Destroyers are kind of poisoning it. And Centaurs, of course, have high mass and are able to catch me. So here I'm going to be doing a frontal charge using the Nehekara Horsemen. We're going to be doing some work against these gore herds, and they're at 67 models, but a nice call of violence going down from Falcon here is going to be kind of helping those guys stabilize. In the meantime, another pendulum effect is going to be coming down from the Beastmen, chewing through those Tomb Guard with halberds, but I do have SETTRA there helping, which is quite nice, and the two groups of Ushabti Great Bows are just shooting downtown and tearing apart the Butchers of Kalkengard. In the distance, I do have Nehekara Horsemen who have overchased a little bit. They've just been kind of murdering these gore herds for like 45 minutes. But at the very least, there is a group of Minotaurs with great weapons who's going to be kind of pursuing those guys. So, you know, both of us are kind of making a mistake over there. In the meantime, the Skeleton Horseman Archers being pushed back to kind of the brink of the battlefield by the Minotaurs. The Chaos Spawn summons are in full effect. Bounce of power definitely in the favor of the Beastmen, but that's pretty much always the case because the two groups of Chaos Spawn just count for so much. They're a pretty, powerful unit, right? So they're going to kind of falsely inflate the bounce of power. So, that once they disappear, it should normalize a little bit. But the Skeleton Horseman Archers falling back, shooting the Butchers of Kalkengard, Ushabti Great Bow still pouring fire in, but it's getting a little bit scary because the Chaos Spawn and the other troops in the Beastmen herd is getting closer and closer to my Ushabti Great Bow back line. Here, SETTRA's doing his thing, just kind of riding muck and doing some AoE damage with the, doing the Usirian's Incantation of Vengeance on the Blackhorn's Ravagers, which is going to do some good damage and also slow them. Not that the slow is terribly pertinent. But again, Falcon coming in with the Pendulums and doing some good work. He's able to chew up the Skeleton Spearmen and almost polish off the Tomb Guard with halberds in terms of leadership. The Chariot coming in with about a bit of a last-minute charge there. And you can see in the back the Butchers of Kalkengard are taken offline. So I definitely... there's only 4 of them, but I should have probably grabbed one of my Skeleton Horseman Archers and chased these guys off. I figured I would kind of keep circling and try and pressure other things, but the Butchers do have healing, and even though they're a very low model count, they could get up to probably like 1200 HP and actually be quite a threat. So in retrospect, I probably should have chased those guys off. I saw they were really beat up, and I was kind of like, I guess I could use these guys elsewhere because there's so much going on, but in retrospect, I definitely should have chased those guys and at least gotten a couple more kills. In a little bit of a bad situation here, my Ushabti do get split up, and this is another disastrous mistake I make that could potentially just be huge. So I had defensive elements over here. I had Tomb Guards with halberds coming back. I should have ran both Ushabti back behind these Tomb Guards with halberds. Instead, I kind of separate. And my line of thought was that I'm going to separate. I'm going to be able to shoot the Scorbull in the back and just kind of kite him away from these ones. So I was basically sacrificing the Ushabti who were compromised here, but I think that Big Daddy Gorbull is just going to be able to chase him. There's also Centaurs coming back. The Butchers of Kalkengard, like I had articulated, are, well, these are actually Minotaurs with great weapons. Where are the Butchers? I'm pretty sure they're back already. Yeah, and they're over 1,000 HP now, so those guys getting stronger and stronger by the moment. The bounce power is still in the favor of the Beastmen, despite the fact that the Chaos Spawn summons are gone. And it's a pretty even battle. The Skeleton Chariots in the back cleaning up. Skeleton Horseman Archers online. Minotaurs are all almost dead. We have Morker, who's full health, of course, because he's always the last one to die. We have SETTRA the Imperishable here, who's, beat up, but still in good shape. 5,329 HP is no joke. We have a massive horde of Tomb Guards with halberds, so it's a good fight. The thing that I think is giving the Beastmen the current edge in the bounce of power is the fact that there's a full health Gorbull and pretty much a full health Brayshaman with Shadows, who is being protected by some of these troops over here. But alas, my Ushabti Great Bows are just going to be destroyed because they're not going to be able to get away with Centaurs. Centaurs are very fast, and these are the throwing axes, so they're going to be able to throw armor-piercing axes as well. SETTRA's doing a good job just mass routing a lot of these Beastmen, just kind of charging into them, doing some okay damage against the Minotaurs, who, Minotaurs actually can be terror routed. Those guys don't cause terror. Oh, no, never mind, they can't. They're immune to psychology. Okay, I just read the tooltip there. Let me see, I'm pretty sure. I wonder if there's something that's giving them that. I couldn't remember, but anyways, the main fight underway is here. The Skeleton Spears, Tomb Guards with halberds all piling in, and I figured, hey, this isn't a bad situation. Yes, the bounce of power is kind of against me here, but I still have SETTRA who's healthy. Let's get SETTRA up on top of these Tomb Guards with halberds. Just have a bit of a death stack, and we do have the Ushabti summon here, so SETTRA was kind of in a bad way. So I summoned the Ushabti who are going to be piling in. I use the Wrath of Petra here to kind of knock down some of my assailants, and you can see it does kind of buckle the Blackhorn's Ravagers. The Nero's Incantation of Protection going down, but Enfeebling Foe just making SETTRA incredibly squishy. So the Ushabti are going to be fighting against Minotaurs now. Minotaurs are shaken. My infantry is in okay shape, and I still do have this other group of Ushabti right here. Sorry, my voice is a little bit parched today. SETTRA's going to be coming in. Enfeebling Foe still on him, and the Ushabti piling into the back of these Beastmen forces, but the Destroyers of Drakwald are so solid. these guys have the anti-large, poison, really high melee defense at 49, and they are just so cost-effective holding here. And Big Daddy Gorbull is able to get on me, so the only things I have against Big Daddy Gorbull is going to be, yes, SETTRA is going to be able to fight one-on-one, but I don't want that. I want SETTRA to be just basically terror-routing all the chaff. And the Ushabti over here do a great job. They actually kill the Minotaurs with great weapons, force the Butchers of Kalkengard back, who are very beat up, and now they're going to be kind of spanking on Morker here, but definitely not worth it. Morker just heals so quick. And the Ushopti aren't going to be able to put out the damage to kind of get through Morker. In the meantime, though, the Beastmen forces are getting a little bit routed off here. It's Gorbel, it's the caster. I do have my Chosen of the Gods, who are pretty powerful in melee. 33, 52, 65, so they're going to be able to kind of fight and anchor this force. And the Ushopti here are doing a pretty damn good job against Morker the Shadowgave. And here comes SETTRA. SETTRA's coming in with the Steel Chair, seeing if he can, or the Steel Construct, whatever you guys want to say. And he does ping-pong Gorbel a little bit. But another Enfeebling Foe going down, so very good, use of Shadow Magic this entire game. But I really think the big thing that kind of set me back in regards to the bounce of power was letting that other group of the Ushopti, who had a lot of ammunition, get isolated and picked apart. Had I kind of rotated the right direction, I think I might have been able to kind of shoot down these Minotaurs and bigger targets for a little bit longer. But man, yeah, you can see the bounce of power climbing back towards the middle a little bit as I do drag Gorbel through a bunch of halberds, and he's taking a little bit of poking. So basically, I'm just going to be Benny Hilling, running back and forth, trying to get here. But Falcon doing a beautiful job just staying sticky, rallying his Minotaurs. I mean, whenever anything rallies from being broken, he's bringing it back very quickly and is being super effective. But Gorbel's getting low, the caster's getting low from being attacked by SETTRA. The Chosen of the Gods here are fighting pretty well, but of course Morker is just as pestilent and very like lore, very much like the lore, right? He's just this kind of like nagging presence that just never goes away and just like torments the lands. But the Chosen of the Gods here are fighting against Big Daddy Gorbel, who does have 2,000 HP. In the meantime, SETTRA the Imperishable going to be going in for a charge, trying to buckle over some Minotaurs, but perhaps got a little bit too ambitious as the Minotaurs here and Morker, as well as his Chariot, and the Gorbel, all who, I mean, the Gorbel should have good mouse, but he's probably going to bounce off the side of SETTRA. But the last of the Tomb King's forces are going to be moving in here. And my force that I have is pretty good against what he has. I mean, I have so many halberds and anti-large, but I just don't know if I'm going to be able to take out Morker. You can see some of these bulls are actually being taken out by the Ushopti, or at least taking damage. And SETTRA's doing a good job. I mean, punt that Gorbel. So we punt the Gorbel back into the halberds where it belongs. And you can see here the Butchers of Kalkengard, though. Like I said, another huge mistake earlier that seems subtle, right? It's like, oh, there's only a couple of them, don't focus or waste resources on them. But yeah, I mean, if these guys weren't here right now, it would be a much smoother situation for me. But they're doing a beautiful job. Falcon's Gorbel just going ham bone, and the Destroyers of Drakball jumping up on top of SETTRA the Imperishable. And you can see here that they're actually going to break. Oh, they were terrified, so that's pretty nice. But from here, it's just too little too late. My halberds are fully surrounded. The beasts are everywhere. But honestly, the name of the game was Gorbel, and it was such a close game. I mean, everything is so tattered. Gorbel, Minotaurs, Caster, but the only thing that really is healthy is just that Morker the Shadowgave, who's an absolute beast. So SETTRA's going to jump in there and get taken out by the Beastmen, and that's going to be all she wrote. So very well played to Falcon. That was a really close, fun game. I thought in the beginning the amount of harass I was getting with the chariots and just the brutal damage we got on his army before the main fighting would be enough, but it wasn't. He was able to just rally that Gorbel, keep his Minotaurs kind of perpetually chasing those high-value targets, and he was able to kind of separate my Ushopti Great Bows, like I said, which was one of the huge reasons why I think the game started to shift. So just beautiful play from Falcon. It was a really fun game. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. So if there's any races you guys think are underrepresented on the channel, please let me know in the comments below. I know I don't play elves terribly often, so I'm trying to get a couple more elf games in, but yeah, it's a work in progress, guys. So thanks again for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this Tomb Kings versus Beastmen game. Well played to Falcon, and we will see you guys next time. Take care.